When the divide between the uber wealthy and the regular everyday people becomes so severe between the haves and the have-nots, it's called the Gilded Age. Um, this happened in society during the 1870s through the turn of the century, also known as the robber baron era, where um, the wealth and power, not only in this country, but around the world, was concentrated into a very small group of people's hands. And society says, the history says, it resulted in the golden era. I'm not sure when this golden era was. It certainly was not in my lifetime, and I'm not sure I know about a time in the last, say, 150 years where there's been a golden era. There's certainly been a technology era that we've gone through since, say, 1947, but certainly not a golden era, and no genuine, lasting, worldwide peace, not only in this country, but around the world. And let's talk a little bit about possibly why. In the year 2023, 2024 alone, the United States gave away, donated, not alone, but gifted $114 billion to Israel and Ukraine in 1 year. In the years 2020 to 2023, it was, to be generous, about $90 billion to those two countries. Just these two countries. From 2016 to 2020, about $50 billion. So on the books, this is not anything off the books. So just on the books, in the last 9 years, the United States has given minimum $254 billion to just two countries, Ukraine and Israel. We can look at Ukraine as an abject failure. Over 250,000 dead Ukrainians. I have no idea how many dead Russians. No gain whatsoever in moving the line at all, except for the ultimate truth that there's no possible scenario where Ukraine will, defeat Russia in any substantial way. Not even with our billions and billions and billions of dollars. It's just been total carnage, death and destruction, the degradation of the human spirit, and the waste, the utter waste of the American people's treasure and the blood of the Ukrainian men and women. Disgusting, really. And then the other part of that money is going to the most oppressive regime since World War II. The victims have truly become the victimizers. And one may argue even worse. Again, very sad. The United States military spends on average, just this past year, $900+ billion on military spending, which doesn't include any of this aid to other countries. This is just on our own military. That's just in 1 year. And 2023, it was in the low 900 billions, and 2020 it was about 880 billion. So it's going up by dozens of billions every year. And I'm assuming in the next time they have to do the military appropriation bill, it will be minimum $1 trillion. Or maybe they'll pull the old used car trick and they're going to say it's only 999 billion, 999 million, 999,999 $100.99. So it'll be a deal, right? I wouldn't put that by them. And then, you can go back for the last 9 years of what our budget was. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it comes down to about $8.2 trillion down the drains with nothing to show for it. Is it possible that if the United States government were properly compelled by its citizenry to spend that money on infrastructure here at home, like high-speed magnetic rails connecting the West Coast to the East Coast, the North to the South, the Northeast to the Southwest, and so on and so forth? Spending money on high-tech fire departments, recruitment of citizens to work in fire departments, so that every community from LA to New York to Miami and everywhere in between would have a surplus of firefighters and paramedics and first responders to help the everyday people in times of crisis. Would it be helpful if that money was spent on litigating and breaking up monopolies, financial monopolies, insurance company monopolies, Wall Street monopolies, retail monopolies, communications and utility resource monopolies? Use that money to eliminate, litigate, and eliminate any kind of corporate spending when it comes to political campaigns, to limit or just absolutely just give everybody the exact same amount of money. If you want to run for your state senate, you get $5,000 in advertising. Everybody who wants to run that gets, say, 10,000 votes gets that much money, right? And that's what you get. You got to knock on doors and kiss babies and get your message out there, and everybody gets on TV the exact amount of time, and that's it. And it's based just on that. That's it. Everybody gets the same amount. And we just scale that up. When you get to president, if you get, say, I don't know, 1 million people on a ballot to say they want to have you on the ballot, every single one of those people who want to run for president, they get $1 million each. That's it. That's all you get. You don't even get to spend your own personal money. If you're a billionaire, it doesn't matter. You get $1 million. That's it. That's all you get. And everybody has to, if they want to be on TV, there's going to be debates where everybody gets the same amount of time to talk. And then, that's it. That's all you get. Okay? Just an idea, maybe, So when we have these same old, tired bags of bone without pulp in their body, without brain cells rolling around that don't have anything to do with greed, could be out there representing us. That we say, I don't know, built bridges and highways and actually innovated our power grids, gave financial aid to regular everyday working families, promoted families, made it incentivized to be married and have kids, to homeschool, to be able to decide if you want to be a doctor, an artist, a musician, a tradesman, on your own. You can make that decision. Everybody, if you have the aptitude, you can get there and you can do whatever you want to do. And it doesn't matter. You can still live a good life. If you wanted to be a poet, you can live a great life. If you want to be a doctor, you can live a great life if you want to be a carpenter. Because in my opinion, a quality carpenter is just as valuable as a medical doctor. Right? My opinion, just my opinion. I think that there is an equality to bringing some kind of art and craft, skill of labor and patience and execution in every single thing that we do. From innovations in collecting and disposing of garbage is just as important as biological disease management. Right? Because one thing leads to another. The synergy, the interconnectivity between every single aspect of society needs to be in balance for our society to thrive. Maybe if we did those things instead of investing into war and bombs and self-defense and media that doesn't entertain us, that doesn't inform us, but stokes fears, degrades our character, lowers the vibrational tone of discourse, However, we are possibly on the precipice of being in another gilded age. Some people say we're on the verge of a golden age. I hope we are. However, I think it's more likely that we're on the verge of a gilded age. And what would happen if we are truly in some sort of an oppressive gilded age where the majority of the people, the 95% of the people, just for example, in the United States of America, all of a sudden realized that all of the wealth and all of the power are concentrated in the top 5%. 350 million Americans, 95% of that is over 380 million Americans. That leaves, 10 plus million Americans. But if you take half of the population is over the age of, 35, and frankly, if you're millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire, you're probably going to be over the age of 50. So take that 10 million down to, say, 100,000. So what if the American people realized that there's 100,000 individual human beings that have the wealth, control, resources, both land and infrastructure, control the politicians, the media, produce your music, make your food, and teach your children? Do you think they're going to be doing those things and then say, hey, we got all this and you guys are fighting over scraps? I think that turns out three possible ways. The first way, which is probably the least likely but most positive way, and that's the way I pray for, would be that the 95% would come together peacefully and force change into the system peacefully. And then over a period of time, we would transition into this new age of capitalism still, but where everybody has an opportunity, a real opportunity, not these fake opportunities for select groups here and there, but everybody truly has the ability to grow their own food in their backyard, vegetables and tomatoes and fruit and everything like that, that our public land would be used for vegetable and fruit trees. Instead of driving down to the local park where you got tennis courts and basketball courts, which is great, you should still have those, but instead of a giant blacktop parking lot, depending on where you live, have appropriately planted food trees and plants that people would voluntarily come in, take care of, cultivate, so on and so forth. And you could just take the food and eat it. Walk down the street, grab an apple off of a tree, crunch on it, and go to the gym, do whatever you got to do, right? You know, like you live in, like for example, living in Florida, which I did for a long time, for a while, a young kid, and then recently. Imagine if on some of those neighborhoods where it's just, you know, liquor store, pawn shop, liquor store, gun store, pawn shop, liquor store, porn shop, liquor store, gun shop. And there's a lot of neighborhoods like that in a lot of different areas all across the South, all across the whole country, honestly. Instead of having all of those shops there, why not just fields of banana trees, mango trees, hot pepper bushes, raspberry bushes, grapevines, you know? Why not? So if you're out looking for a good time on a Friday night, you grab yourself a beer and a basket and you go pick some green beans and pick some tomatoes and pick some mangoes and some bananas, and you go home and you make yourself a salad and a smoothie, and wow, that's a great time. Everybody could do that. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and together we can live as one. I've been Scott Roeder. I love you, planet Earth. Until next time. Bye.